I saw him under the bridge. At first, I didn't recognize him. Then he said my name, Nana, and my entire past came back like a bruise I thought had healed. I had just left the grocery store. It was raining lightly, the kind of rain that doesn't soak you but stays on your skin. I almost walked past him. His beard was untrimmed, his jacket torn, shoes split at the front. But his eyes, I knew those eyes. They once promised me forever. I froze. My ex-husband was homeless, and I didn't know whether to feel anger or something worse. He stood slowly, as if he expected me to run. I didn't think I'd ever see you again, he said. His voice was thinner, like life had sanded it down. I swallowed. The last time I saw him, he walked out of our house with a suitcase, and a woman who used to call me Big Sister. I lost my marriage that day, but I didn't lose my dignity. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Now here he was, broken, alone, sleeping under a bridge 3 miles from the house I paid off by myself. One question echoed in my mind. How did he fall this far? But another question scared me more. Why was he here? He shifted his weight. Rain dripped from his sleeve. They took everything, he whispered. I didn't respond, because I didn't know who they were. And I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Pause. You have to understand something. After everything I sacrificed, after working 2 jobs, after staying quiet to keep peace, he left. Not because I failed, but because someone younger made him feel young again. Or at least that's what I believed. He cleared his throat. I didn't leave you the way you think. That sentence hit differently because I never told him what I thought. So how did he know? I crossed my arms. You walked out, I said calmly. He nodded slowly. Yes. Silence. Cars passed above us. Water pooled near the curb. Then he said something that made my stomach tighten. They told me you signed the papers. What papers? I never signed anything. My chest grew heavy. What are you talking about? I asked. He looked confused, like a man replaying a nightmare. The transfer, he said. The house. The account. The custody release. My heart skipped. Custody? Our son was 22. What custody? I felt something shift. A crack in the version of history I carried for years. You left, I said quietly. You moved into her apartment. His eyes widened. I was told you wanted me gone. That sentence landed like glass. Pause, because now something didn't match. And I don't ignore things that don't match anymore. Who told you that? I asked. He hesitated. His eyes flickered away. Then he said her name. Danielle. My former friend. The woman who cried at my wedding. The woman who held my hand when I was in labor. The woman who later moved into my guest bedroom temporarily. I felt cold, even though it wasn't cold. She showed me messages, he said. From you. My voice sharpened. I never sent her messages. He rubbed his face. She said you were done with me. I felt my pulse in my ears. There was something nobody told me yet, and I could feel it opening. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. He laughed softly. Not happy. Just tired. Because she's gone. Gone. Gone where? He looked straight at me. She disappeared after everything collapsed. Collapsed? My brain was running, but I kept my voice steady. What collapse? He inhaled slowly. The investment. Investment? We never invested anything. He leaned against the concrete pillar. I thought I was building something better for us. Better for us? You left me, I said again. He shook his head. No. Nana. He swallowed hard. I thought you left me first. That hurt more than shouting. Pause. Because suddenly, I wasn't just a woman who had been abandoned. I might have been a woman who was erased. Show me, I said. He blinked. What? Show me what she showed you. His hands trembled as he reached into his jacket. For a moment I was afraid. Then he pulled out an old phone. Cracked screen. Barely functioning. He turned it on. It took time. Too much time. Finally, a message thread opened. My name. My profile picture. But I didn't recognize the words. I don't love you anymore. You're holding me back. I've already spoken to a lawyer. My breath disappeared. I never wrote those messages. Never. And at the bottom, a screenshot of a signed property transfer form. With my name. My signature. Accept. It wasn't mine. It looked like mine, but it wasn't mine. My knees felt weak because I remembered something. 5 years ago, Danielle asked to borrow my ID for a rental verification. I didn't think twice. After everything I sacrificed, when did I become a stranger in my own life? I looked up at him. You believe this? His face crumbled. She showed me bank statements too. What bank statements? The withdrawals. Withdrawals? I never withdrew anything. He looked ashamed. I thought you were preparing to leave me. My mind was racing. There was something bigger here. Something that hadn't surfaced yet. Why didn't you confront me? I asked. He closed his eyes. She said you deny it. He paused. She said you were unstable. That word. Unstable. I felt humiliated all over again. Was I wrong to trust her? Maybe I trusted too much. But something still didn't add up. If she had all this control, I said slowly, why are you homeless? That's when his expression changed. Fear. Real fear. She invested everything, he whispered. In what? He hesitated. Then he said it. Crypto mining land. I stared at him. We are not foolish people. We were careful. We planned. She said it was guaranteed. Of course she did. And when it failed, he looked away. She transferred the remaining funds. To where? Silence. Then he looked at me again. She said it was safer in your name. My name. Again. I felt something deep inside me shift. Because if money was moved into my name, then somewhere, there was proof. I never received anything, I said firmly. He nodded. I know that now. How? He exhaled. Because last month I tried to withdraw from the emergency account. Emergency account? We closed that years ago, I said. He shook his head. No. He reached back into the phone, scrolled, and showed me a bank notification. 3 weeks ago. Balance. $0. Transferred. Destination account. Nana May Enterprises LLC. I felt the ground move. I never created an LLC. I never opened a business account. So who did? Pause. And that's when I realized something worse. This wasn't just betrayal. This was identity theft. And someone had been using my name for years. Under my nose. Under my roof. And now, my ex was homeless because of something signed with my signature. I looked at him again. And for the first time, I didn't see the man who left me. I saw a man who might have been manipulated too. But one question still burned. If she took everything, I asked quietly, why didn't you report her? He hesitated. His lips trembled because there was something worse coming. And I could feel it. He leaned closer, lowered his voice. I tried. Pause. They told me she was already legally your partner. My heart stopped. Legally? Partner? What did that mean? He swallowed. The document said you co-owned the company. I never signed anything. I never built a company. So who was I partnered with? Rain fell harder. Cars above us splashed through puddles. My phone vibrated in my purse. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. Hello. Silence. Then a woman's voice. Soft. Calm. Controlled. Nana. My blood turned cold. I see you found him. It was Danielle. And she was not surprised. She knew. She always knew. You should have left him there, she continued. Now you're involved again. Involved in what? I stepped back. How did you get this number? I whispered. She laughed lightly. Oh, Nana. Pause. You've always underestimated me. The call disconnected. I stared at the screen, then slowly looked back at my ex. He looked terrified, because if she knew we were talking, then she was watching. And if she was watching, then this wasn't over. Not even close. I thought finding him was the shock. But I was wrong, because now I had a new question. If she built a company in my name, where is the money? And what did she do with it? Chapter 1 ends with 2 open mysteries. Where did the funds go? What legal trap was built in Nana's name? And something tells me the answer will cost more than money. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of him. Because of her. The way she said, you've always underestimated me. That wasn't fear. That was control. And control means planning. I kept replaying the bank notification. Nana May Enterprises LLC. I don't own an LLC. I barely use online banking beyond checking balances. So how does a company exist under my name? Morning came too fast. I drove straight to the bank. I didn't call. Didn't schedule. I needed to see faces. Inside, everything looked normal. People in line. Soft music. Coffee machine humming. I almost laughed. How can the world look normal when your identity is stolen? When your marriage might have been manipulated? When your past suddenly feels edited? My account has been compromised, I told the front desk. The young woman smiled politely. Do you have your ID? I handed it over. She typed. Paused. Typed again. Her smile faded slightly. I'll need to call my manager. That shift. I felt it immediately. Like when a nurse looks at a screen and then looks at you differently. I waited. People behind me sighed. I could feel eyes on my back. The manager arrived. Tall. Calm. Too calm. Ma'am, he said quietly. Can we step into my office? Office. Closed door. That never means something small. We sat down. He turned his screen slightly toward himself, then asked a question that made my stomach tighten. Are you here regarding your business account? Business account. So it's real. I don't own a business, I said clearly. He looked confused. It shows here you're the registered director of Nana May Enterprises, LLC. Registered director. I felt heat rise in my chest. I never registered anything. He studied my face, then said something that felt like public humiliation wrapped in politeness. All documents were verified in person. In person? That's impossible. I never came here. He turned the monitor. There it was. My name. My signature. And a security camera still image. My heart dropped, because the woman sitting in that chair looked like me. Same haircut. Same glasses. Same posture. But it wasn't me. It was her. Danielle. She had mimicked me. Copied my appearance. Copied my signature. Copied my life. I need copies of everything, I said. He hesitated. Due to active business agreements, I may need authorization from co-director. Co-director? Who is the co-director? He checked the file, then looked at me slowly. Danielle Harper. My ears rang. Co-director. Partner. Legally tied to me. Without my knowledge. I felt the humiliation spread. Employees outside could probably see through the glass walls. I wasn't just a victim. On paper, I was complicit. How much money moved through that account? I asked. He swallowed slightly. Over the last 4 years? For years. For years she used my name. Approximately $487,000. My hands went cold. That's not investment money. That's laundering. And suddenly, this wasn't just betrayal. This was criminal. Where is it now? I asked. He clicked, scrolled, then stopped, transferred out in phases. To where? He hesitated again. Various offshore accounts. Offshore. My knees felt weak. And then came the second blow. There is also a pending loan under this company. Loan? How much? $220,000. I couldn't breathe for a moment. Collateral. He looked at me carefully. Your house. Silence. Complete silence. I felt like someone had just erased oxygen. My house. The house I paid off. The house I rebuilt after he left. The house that was my proof I survived. Used as collateral. Without my knowledge. I never signed a loan, I whispered. He rotated the screen again. Electronic signature. Timestamped. Verified. Security footage attached. Her. Dressed like me. Smiling like me. Destroying me. Public humiliation doesn't always involve shouting. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's fluorescent lights and a manager explaining how you legally owe money you never touched. Is the loan in default? I asked. He nodded slowly. Payment stopped 3 months ago. 3 months. That's when she disappeared. That's when my ex said everything collapsed. I ignored it at the time. That was my mistake. When small mail notices came addressed to the LLC, I assumed it was spam. I never opened them. I stayed quiet for peace. Now peace was gone. What happens if it defaults? I asked. He didn't sugarcoat it. Foreclosure proceedings may begin. Foreclosure. On my house. I drove home shaking. Not crying, shaking, because this wasn't emotional anymore. This was war. When I pulled into my driveway, something felt wrong. A car I didn't recognize was parked across the street. Engine running, windows tinted. I sat in my car, watching. The car didn't move. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. I didn't want to answer, but I did. You went to the bank, she said calmly. How does she know? I scanned the street again. The parked car. Still there. You're making this worse, she continued. You forged my identity, I snapped. Soft laugh. Technically, we built something together. I never agreed. You signed. I didn't. Pause. Then she said something colder than before. You should check clause 14 in the operating agreement. Operating agreement? I don't have it. Of course you do, she replied. Check your email. The old one. Old email? The one I stopped using years ago. Why would she? My stomach dropped. The rental verification. The ID copy. The email password reset I ignored because I thought it was spam. I ended the call. Rushed inside. Opened my laptop. Logged into that forgotten email account. Hundreds of unread messages. Spam. Promotions. Then, legal notifications. Board meeting minutes. Loan approval notices. Digital signature confirmations. All under my name. All opened. All replied to. But not by me. And then I saw it. Clause 14. In the event of dispute between directors, authority defaults to Director Harper. Authority defaults to her. She built an escape hatch. A legal trap. If I objected, she wins. If I stay silent, she wins. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't her. It was him. I remembered something, he said urgently. What? The night before I left, she asked me to sign a witness document. Witness document? For what? He hesitated. For your voluntary resignation from the marriage property. My vision blurred. I never resigned anything. I know, he whispered. But I signed as witness. Silence. And that's when it hit me. He wasn't just manipulated. He was used to legitimize the fraud. Which means, if authorities investigate, his signature is involved. And mine is forged. Which makes it look like conspiracy. 2 directors. 1 witness. 1 loan. 1 house at risk. And she is gone. Or pretending to be. I looked out my living room window. The car across the street was gone. But something told me this wasn't random. This was monitored, planned, executed slowly, for years of preparation. And I never saw it. Maybe I trusted too much. But here's the bigger question. Why vanish now? Why stop payments? Unless she wants default. Unless the house is the final target. My phone vibrated one more time. A message. Unknown sender. A photo attachment. I opened it. It was my house. Taken today. From across the street. And below it, 1 sentence. Assets must be consolidated soon. Consolidated. That's not emotional language. That's corporate. And that's when I understood. This isn't about revenge. This is about something bigger. Money movement. Property transfer. Identity layering. And I'm just one piece. But here's the part that scares me most. If she used my identity this confidently, how many others has she done this to? Chapter 2 closes 1 loop. The LLC is real and fraudulent, but opens 2 bigger ones. Why does she want the house to default? Who is helping her monitor me? And next, I'm not going back to the bank. I'm going somewhere else. Somewhere she won't expect. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. Police react. Lawyers prepare. And something about this felt prepared. Calculated. For years of preparation doesn't collapse in 1 emotional phone call. So I called someone I hadn't spoken to in nearly a decade. Mr. Alvarez. He handled my property transfer when my marriage ended. Quiet man. Sharp eyes. Doesn't talk unless necessary. When he answered, I didn't waste time. I think someone built a company under my identity. Pause. Then calmly. Come now. His office hadn't changed. Same leather chairs. Same frame certifications. Same silence. I placed everything on his desk. Bank screenshots. LLC registration. Loan notice. Email logs. Security still image. He didn't interrupt. Just read. Slowly. then leaned back. This is not amateur work, he said. My stomach tightened. So she didn't just try something. He shook his head. This is layered identity structuring. Layered. That word again. You mean she planned multiple exits? Yes, he replied. And legal insulation. Legal insulation. That means protection. That means she expected conflict. He tapped the LLC operating agreement. Clause 14 is deliberate. Authority default clause. It makes dispute useless. I never signed. He nodded. I know. But proving forgery requires forensic verification. That takes time. Time. That's exactly what foreclosure doesn't allow. And the loan? I asked. He opened another document. That's more concerning. More concerning? How? The collateral transfer was digitally notarized. I blinked. Digitally notarized? Yes, he said quietly. And the notary ID number is valid. Valid, which means a real licensed notary verified the signature. But I never went. So either she bribed someone, or someone is professionally involved. I need to ask you something difficult, he said. My chest tightened. Do you recognize this IP address? He turned the screen. It showed login history from my old email. Multiple access points. One stood out. My home IP. I froze. My house Wi-Fi. Yes, which means she accessed my email from inside my house. My throat went dry. She stayed with me during lockdown, I whispered. Mr. Alvarez nodded slowly. Then she had physical access to your devices. Devices. Router. Laptop. Phone. Password resets. Two-factor authentication. Everything. I ignored it at the time. That was my mistake. When small glitches happened. When emails logged out randomly. When she said, technology is confusing, let me help. I stayed quiet for peace. Peace is expensive. Now I know. He leaned forward. There's something else. He pulled a public records search. Another LLC. Different name. Different director. But same registered agent. Registered agent address matched the first company. How many? I asked. 3 connected so far. 3. And if 3 exist, there are more. Are these active? I asked. Yes. Any in default? He paused. 1. My heart skipped. Collateral? He turned the screen. A small suburban house. Owned by a widow. Age 67. I felt sick. She's not the only one, he said quietly. And suddenly this wasn't personal. This was a pattern. Older women. Divorced. Widowed. Financially stable. Digitally unaware. Trusting. Layered identity structuring. Company formation. Loan extraction. Default. Asset seizure. Consolidation. Assets must be consolidated soon. The message makes sense now. But here's the bigger question. Who benefits at the end? Because Danielle doesn't have that kind of infrastructure alone. She's smart, but not this network smart. Have you reported anything? Mr. Alvarez asked. No. Good. Good. If this is organized, reporting too early alerts them. Them. So he sees it too. There is a them. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. I declined it. Then it buzzed again. And again. He nodded toward it. Answer. I put it on speaker. Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Controlled. You went to a lawyer, the voice said. Not Danielle. Male. Older. Calm. My heart pounded. How do you know that? I demanded. Soft chuckle. You're predictable. I looked at Mr. Alvarez. His face didn't move. We're trying to help you, the man continued. Help me? You're about to lose your house, he said. We can stop that. There it is. The pitch. At what cost? I asked. Transfer the remaining liquid assets into restructuring. We absorb the loan. Absorb. Corporate language again. What restructuring? Asset protection consolidation. Consolidation. Same word as the photo message. This is coordinated. I swallowed. And if I refuse? Pause. Then colder. Foreclosure accelerates. Call ended. The room felt smaller. Mr. Alvarez spoke carefully. That was not a random scammer. No, I whispered. That was someone confident. He stood, locked his office door. That small action told me everything. This is likely a layered fraud network, he said. They target women who won't immediately litigate. Humiliation works. Silence works. Shame works. And I felt all three. But they made one mistake, he continued. What? They assumed you wouldn't escalate legally. A small spark lit inside me. What can we do? He walked to a filing cabinet, pulled something out. Forensic signature analysis request. And if we file fraud motion with preliminary injunction, foreclosure freezes. Freeze. That word felt like oxygen. But we need proof. I have the security still image, I said. Not enough. What else? He looked at me carefully. Do you have access to the router logs from the time she stayed with you? Router logs? I don't know. Call your internet provider. Request historical device connections. I almost laughed. Technology. The same thing she used against me. Now might save me. But understand, he added, if this network senses exposure, they escalate. Escalate how? He didn't sugarcoat it. Reputation damage. Legal intimidation. False countersuits. Public humiliation again. Maybe I trusted too much. But I won't stay quiet now. As I left his office, I noticed something strange. A black SUV across the street. Engine running. Windows tinted. Same as yesterday. I couldn't be sure. But when I pulled out, it pulled out too. Slowly. Following. Not aggressively. Just close enough. My pulse hammered. I turned randomly. Left. Right. Another right. It stayed behind me. Calm. Controlled. Monitoring. This isn't just financial. It's surveillance. When I reached a crowded grocery parking lot, I stopped. The SUV kept driving. Didn't turn in. Didn't slow. Just passed. Maybe coincidence. Or maybe a message. We see you. I got home. Checked my mailbox. Empty. But my door felt slightly misaligned. Like it had been opened roughly. Inside, nothing looked disturbed. But something felt different. You know that feeling? When air doesn't sit right. I walked to my office desk. My laptop was slightly angled differently. Tiny detail, but noticeable. I opened it. Logged in. Email inbox. One new message. Subject line. Final opportunity. No sender name. Inside. You are approaching litigation. That would be unfortunate. We prefer resolution. You have 72 hours. No attachment. No signature. Just threat. 72 hours. That's not random. That's countdown psychology. Create urgency. Force fear. Push compliance. I forwarded it to Mr. Alvarez immediately. Then did something I should have done months ago. I called my internet provider. Requested full router history logs. The representative hesitated. May take 24 hours. 24 hours. Which means tomorrow. Which means proof might exist. And if proof exists, Clause 14 collapses. Forgery motion strengthens. Loan freezes. Network exposed. But here's the open loop. If Danielle is just one operative, who runs the structure? Who sends the SUV? Who speaks on the phone? And how many women have already lost their homes quietly? As I stood in my kitchen, staring at my house, the house they want, one realization hit me. This isn't about stealing my life. It's about building theirs. And mine is just inventory. Chapter 3 closes. The fraud structure is organized, but opens. Who is the male voice? How deep does the network go? Will the router logs expose them or implicate me? And tomorrow, if those logs show my IP linked to everything, I won't just be a victim. I'll be the suspect. The email arrived at 9:12 a.m. Subject line, requested device history, past 24 months. My hands were shaking before I even opened it. I told myself to breathe. Slow. Controlled. Because whatever was inside that file would change everything. I clicked download. A long spreadsheet appeared. Dates. Device IDs. MAC addresses. Login timestamps. At first it looked like noise. Then I saw it. Repeated device connection. Unknown device name. Connected every night between 1:13 a.m. and 3:47 a.m. For 6 months. 6 months. The same months Danielle stayed with me. I zoomed in. Device manufacturer, custom OS. Custom? Who uses custom devices in a suburban home? Not a casual scammer. Not a desperate daughter. This was professional. I forwarded the file to Mr. Alvarez immediately. Within minutes, he called. "Do not send this to anyone else," he said calmly. "Why?" "Because this device signature doesn't match common consumer hardware." My stomach tightened. What does that mean? It means whoever accessed your network knew how to avoid easy tracing. Avoid tracing? So they expected investigation. "Is this enough?" I whispered. "It's a start. A start." I stared at my kitchen window. Every car that passed felt suspicious now. Every neighbor looked like a possible watcher. Then my phone buzzed. Danielle. For the first time in days. I hesitated, then answered. Her voice sounded softer than before. "Mom, are you okay?" The sudden concern felt rehearsed. "I'm fine," I said evenly. Silence. Then she sighed. "You shouldn't be talking to lawyers." There it was. Confirmation. "How do you know I did?" Another pause. Then, "I just heard." "Heard? From who?" "You're making this bigger than it needs to be," she continued. "We were trying to protect assets. We. Protect assets. Not fix a misunderstanding. Not apologize. Protect assets. From what?" I asked quietly. "From instability." "Instability? You mean me?" She didn't answer directly. "You don't understand how the world works anymore." That sentence hurt more than accusation. After everything I sacrificed. When did I become a liability? I asked. Silence again. Then something slipped. "You weren't supposed to check the documents yet." "Yet." Meaning they expected me to eventually. But not this soon. That's when I realized something important. They miscalculated timing. And timing is leverage. "Who is he?" I asked suddenly. Her breathing changed. "I don't know what you mean." "The man who called me." Complete silence. Too complete. Then she whispered, "You shouldn't have answered that call." Click. Call ended. I stared at the screen. That wasn't denial. That was fear. She's not leading this. She's involved, but not leading, which means someone above her. Someone older. Someone structured. My phone buzzed again. Not Danielle. Unknown number. Text message. No greeting. Just. Litigation escalates consequences. Consequences. They love vague threats. I forwarded it to Mr. Alvarez. He replied with one sentence. "Good. They're nervous." "Nervous?" "Yes," he said when I called. Threat escalation means exposure risk. Exposure. So the router logs scared them, which means the logs matter. "But we need one more thing," he added. "What?" "A forensic digital specialist. More experts. More money. More time. But foreclosure clock still ticking." "How long do we have?" I asked. 48 hours before we file injunction." 48 hours. The same deadline from the email. 72 hours from them. 48 from us. 2 clocks racing. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound in the house felt amplified. The refrigerator hum. The air vent shifting. Footsteps that weren't there. At 2:14 a.m., my phone screen lit up. Motion detected. Front door camera. I froze. I didn't remember turning notifications on. I opened the live feed. Empty porch. But the motion alert showed someone had been there. Seconds before. Then I noticed something. The doormat was slightly moved. And taped under the door handle. An envelope. I didn't go outside immediately. I watched for 5 minutes. Nothing. Then slowly, carefully I opened the door. Picked up the envelope. No name. Inside. One printed page. A screenshot. My retirement account summary. Highlighted balance. Below it. "You still have time." I felt my knees weaken. They're not just targeting property. They want everything liquid. Complete drain. Consolidation. The word echoed again. This is bigger than a house. This is portfolio absorption. And Danielle is the access point. I closed the door. Locked everything. Double-checked windows. Then something hit me. How did they know my retirement account details? Those weren't on my main email. Those were stored in a secondary cloud account. Only accessed once. When Danielle helped me set up password recovery. I ignored it at the time. That was my mistake. I called Mr. Alvarez again. He answered immediately. They're escalating physically now, I said. Good, good, because intimidation is legally dangerous for them. But they're confident, I whispered. Yes, which means they think you'll fold. Fold? Maybe I would have. Last week. But something shifted. When I saw that envelope, it wasn't fear anymore. It was anger. Deep. Cold. Controlled anger. They misjudged me, I said quietly. He didn't reply immediately. Then, good. Because for the first time since this started, I wasn't reacting. I was preparing. I didn't sleep. Not really. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while 2 clocks ticked in my head. Theirs and mine. 72 hours. 48 hours. By morning, one of us would blink. At 8:03 a.m., I walked into Mr. Alvarez's office with the envelope, the screenshots, the router logs, and something new. Resolve. He looked at my face and nodded. You're ready. I'm done being scared. He slid the document toward me. Emergency motion for preliminary injunction, fraud, and identity misrepresentation. 23 pages. Legal language heavy and sharp. Every clause a weapon. If we file this, he said quietly, foreclosure pauses automatically pending review. And they'll be notified. Good. Let them feel something. I signed. This time I signed something real. And as soon as the clerk stamped it electronically, something shifted in the air. The victim phase ended. The fight began. At 11:17 a.m., my phone rang. Danielle. Her voice wasn't calm anymore. What did you do? There it was. Panic. I protected myself. You filed something. Yes. You're ruining everything. Everything. Not misunderstanding. Not relationship. Everything. What exactly am I ruining? I asked evenly. Silence. Then a whisper. You weren't supposed to go this far. That sentence told me everything. She wasn't expecting resistance. You underestimated me, I said quietly. She inhaled sharply. You don't know who you're dealing with. There it is. Not what? Who? Then tell me, I said. Silence again. Then the call disconnected. Not ended. Disconnected. Like someone grabbed the phone. 2 hours later, Mr. Alvarez called. They responded faster than expected. My stomach tightened. With what? A motion to dismiss. Already? Yes. Filed within 90 minutes of service. 90 minutes. That means they were waiting. Monitoring court filings. Prepared for escalation. They attached something, he added. What? A counterclaim. The word felt heavy. For what? Financial mismanagement and cognitive instability. I froze. Cognitive. They're attacking my mind. They're claiming you voluntarily transferred authority due to health concerns. Health concerns? There's an attached affidavit. From who? Pause. Danielle. The room felt smaller again. She signed something stating you've shown signs of confusion over the past year. Confusion. Memory lapses. Financial errors. She included 3 examples, he continued. Which are? Missed credit card payment. Duplicate grocery order. Incorrect calendar entry. Minor human mistakes. Framed as decline. I stayed quiet for peace, I whispered. And they documented silence as weakness. Exactly. They're building a narrative, he said. Yes. Not just fraud. Guardianship positioning. If they prove instability, they gain control legally. Everything clicks now. Layered. Structured. Step 1, digital access. Step 2, asset leverage. Step 3, legal doubt of capacity. Consolidation. Full life absorption. I felt something cold settle inside me. Not fear. Strategy. Can they prove instability? I asked. Not easily, he replied. But they'll try. And the affidavit? It's notarized. Of course it is. That same notary? I asked. He checked. Yes. Same ID. Same license. Same network. That's the crack. One notary involved in multiple fraudulent layers. That's traceable. They made a mistake, I said slowly. What? They reused infrastructure. He smiled faintly. Yes. For the first time since this started, we saw weakness. At 6:42 p.m., I received another message. Unknown number again. But this time no threat. Just a photo. Danielle. sitting at a long dining table. 3 men around her. One older, gray hair, sharp suit. I recognized him. The voice, the collar, caption under the photo. You could have stayed comfortable. My pulse slowed, not raced, slowed, because intimidation doesn't work once you see the structure. I replied with one sentence. See you in court. No response. That night, something unexpected happened. My neighbor knocked on my door. Mrs. Carter, widowed, soft-spoken. I saw a black SUV outside your house last week, she said carefully. My heart tightened. You did? Yes. It's been parked near mine too. Mine too. What do you mean? She hesitated. I received foreclosure notice yesterday. My blood ran cold. How? I refinanced through a consultant recommended by my niece's friend. Consultant. Layered referral. And suddenly it was clear. They're not random predators. They're operating through social proximity networks. Friends of friends. Family recommendations. Trust chains. How old are you, Mrs. Carter? I asked gently. 70. 70. Same demographic pattern. You need a lawyer, I said. She looked embarrassed. I thought it was my fault. That sentence shattered something inside me. Because that's how they win. Isolation. Shame. Silence. It's not your fault, I said firmly. And in that moment, this stopped being only about me. At 10:15 p.m., Mr. Alvarez sent me an update. Court hearing scheduled. 5 days. 5 days until public exposure. 5 days until their structure is examined. 5 days until that notary license is questioned. And 5 days until Danielle sits in a courtroom and chooses sides. Because here's the open loop. Is she trapped? Or is she choosing this? And if she's choosing it, what did they promise her? I didn't expect the courtroom to feel cold, but it did. Not temperature, atmosphere. Cold in the way silence becomes heavy before something breaks. 5 days passed quickly, too quickly. In those 5 days, 2 more women contacted Mr. Alvarez, both over 60, both refinanced through consultants, both facing foreclosure. Pattern confirmed. This wasn't paranoia. It was architecture. And today, that architecture would be named. Danielle arrived 20 minutes late. She didn't look at me. Not once. Her suit was sharp, professional, controlled. The gray-haired man walked beside her. Same calm posture. Same measured steps. So that's him. The voice. The strategist. When he glanced at me, there was no anger. Just assessment. Like I was data. Mr. Alvarez leaned toward me. That's Victor Hale. The name meant nothing. Yet, he runs asset recovery firms. Recovery. That word again. Not theft. Recovery. Language manipulation is powerful. The hearing began. Simple procedural motion, but tension thick. Their attorney stood first. Confident. Your Honor, this is a case of elder financial confusion being reframed as fraud. Elder. Confusion. He continued. The respondent voluntarily transferred limited authority for portfolio management. Voluntarily. They love that word. Then he presented Danielle's affidavit. My mother has shown increasing difficulty managing digital platforms. Difficulty. As if technology ignorance equals incompetence. I stayed still, because emotion feeds their narrative. Then Mr. Alvarez stood. Calm. Precise. We request immediate forensic review of the notarized affidavit and LLC signature validation. He handed over evidence, router logs, device signatures, notary reuse across 3 disputed formations. The judge leaned forward. Is the same notary attached to all disputed instruments? She asked. Yes, Your Honor. She turned to their side. Silence. For the first time, Victor Hale shifted in his seat. Small, but noticeable. Mr. Alvarez continued. We also request review of digital intrusion evidence from the petitioner's secured home network. Network intrusion. That's not confusion. That's crime. The judge nodded slowly. Motion for preliminary injunction remains in place pending forensic evaluation. Pending, which means foreclosure frozen. Immediate relief. But something bigger happened. The judge added, I am ordering temporary hold on any additional property transfers associated with the name notary until review. Room went still. That's not small. That's structural disruption. Victor leaned toward Danielle, whispered something. Her hands were shaking now. After everything I sacrificed. When did I become your opponent? Outside the courtroom, tension broke. Victor approached me directly. No lawyer. Just him. You're making a mistake, he said calmly. Am I? Yes. Litigation will damage family permanently. Family. He weaponizes relationship. You damaged it first, I replied. He tilted his head slightly. You think this was personal? The way he said it chilled me. Not personal. Strategic. Danielle believed consolidation was protection, he added. Believed. So she didn't design it. She accepted it. Protection from what? I asked. Volatility. Always the same vague justification. You targeted widows, I said quietly. His eyes narrowed slightly. We provide liquidity solutions. Language again. Not victims. Clients. 3 of your clients are facing foreclosure. Silence. Then he leaned closer. You opened a door you can't close. Threat. Subtle. Controlled. But fear wasn't rising anymore. Clarity was, because he wasn't denying structure. He was protecting it. Danielle finally looked at me. Her eyes weren't angry. They were scared. Mom, she whispered. I stepped closer. Is this what you wanted? She hesitated. I thought it was secure. Secure. So you knew. Tears filled her eyes. I thought you'd never notice. That sentence hurt more than the affidavit. Not that she trusted me, but that she didn't respect me enough to think I'd fight. I stayed quiet for peace, I said softly. She broke then. Not loudly, but visibly. He said we were optimizing, she whispered. He. Victor. There are others involved, she added quickly. Others. My heart pounded. How many? I don't know exact numbers, she said, shaking. But there's a list. A list. Of what? Target portfolios, she whispered. Portfolios. Not people. Assets. That was the crack. The first internal fracture. And Victor saw it. His composure tightened. He walked back toward us. Danielle, he said firmly. She flinched. Small detail. But powerful. That's not partnership. That's hierarchy. Do not speculate publicly, he warned. Publicly. Meaning there's more hidden. I looked at him. She's scared, I said. She's misguided, he replied smoothly. Controlled narrative. But control was slipping. Because here's what he didn't expect. Mrs. Carter was sitting behind me in court, along with 2 other women, watching, listening, connecting dots, and networks collapse when victims meet. That evening, something changed again. I received an encrypted email. Anonymous sender. Subject, internal ledger. Attachment, spreadsheet. Names, ages, property values, loan amounts, and projected recovery timelines. Projected recovery. They forecast foreclosure like revenue. 37 names. 37 women. Some marked completed. My stomach turned. Completed likely means assets acquired. Consolidated. Absorbed. The list included Danielle's initials next to 3 cases. My hands trembled. Not because I was weak, but because this was bigger than family betrayal. This was systemic. And now, I had proof. The email arrived at 2:14 a.m. No name, no signature, just the subject line. You were never supposed to see this. I stared at the spreadsheet again. 37 names. Ages between 58 and 83. Columns labeled. Asset type. Equity position. Conversion window. Recovery probability. Recovery probability. They calculated women's financial collapse like weather forecasts. And Danielle's initials were beside 3 of them. I didn't sleep. Not from fear. From clarity. This wasn't just about my house anymore. This was infrastructure. And infrastructure doesn't crumble quietly. By morning, Mr. Alvarez had the file. He didn't speak for a long time while scrolling. Then he exhaled slowly. This is internal. Meaning someone inside their operation sent this. Inside. A fracture in the system. Can we use it? I asked. He nodded. If it's authenticated. Then he looked at me carefully. You need to understand something. What? When networks like this feel threatened, they don't just defend legally. A chill moved through me. How do they defend? Pressure. The pressure started that afternoon. My phone began buzzing nonstop. Unknown numbers, private callers, voicemails with silence. Not threats, just presence, letting me know someone was watching. Then my email locked me out. Password reset request. I didn't initiate it. My home Wi-Fi flickered twice. Router logs showed external login attempts. Mr. Alvarez had warned me. Pressure. That night, a black SUV idled across the street. Engine running. Lights off. Maybe coincidence. Maybe not. But fear didn't take over. Anger did. After everything I sacrificed. You think I scare easily? The next move wasn't theirs. It was ours. Mr. Alvarez filed an emergency motion to expand injunction scope based on suspected coordinated fraud network. He attached the ledger. He added affidavits from Mrs. Carter and 2 others. And then, he leaked nothing. Because we weren't going to threaten exposure. We were going to execute it. Silently. In court. Where it couldn't be buried. Danielle showed up at my door that evening. Alone. No Victor. No polished confidence. Just my daughter. You have the list, she said quietly. I didn't answer. She stepped inside without asking. They don't know who sent it. They. So she's still partly inside. You knew about it? I asked. She swallowed. I knew there were portfolios. Portfolios. Still that word. But I didn't know it was this many, she added quickly. How many did you think? 6. Maybe 8. 37. Her knees weakened slightly as she sat down. They're not just targeting widows, she whispered. They're targeting women without tech literacy. Strategic vulnerability. Why? I asked. She hesitated. Because adult children are easier to recruit than institutions. There it was. Recruit. You recruited me? I asked calmly. Tears filled her eyes. I thought I was helping. Helping. When did I become a liability to you? I asked softly. She broke. You weren't a liability. You were leverage. That hurt more than the forged signature. Leverage. I stayed quiet. Silence is powerful. She kept talking. They told me consolidation protects inheritance from probate erosion. Probate erosion. More jargon. They said if we didn't act fast, market volatility could reduce equity positions. Fear marketing. They made it sound responsible, she whispered. And that's how manipulation works. It dresses as protection. Then she said something that changed everything. There's a board. My heart slowed. What kind of board? Private investors. Asset acquisition partners. Not one man. Not one firm. A network. How many members? I've only seen 5 in person. 5. And Victor? He reports to them. So he's not the top. Just the strategist. I felt something steady inside me. Not panic. Resolve. You need to testify, I said. She froze. If I do, they'll ruin me professionally. If you don't, they'll ruin 37 families. Silence. Long. Heavy. Would you forgive me? She whispered. The question hung between us. Maybe I trusted too much. Maybe I stayed silent too long. I don't know yet, I answered honestly. But I know this ends now. The retaliation escalated the next morning. My bank temporarily flagged my account for unusual activity. My credit report showed an inquiry from a firm I'd never contacted. Pressure. Intimidation. Disruption. Mr. Alvarez responded immediately. Protective filings. Fraud alerts. Judicial notice of harassment attempts. Because once you step into light, they try to push you back into shadow. But I wasn't stepping back. Not after seeing 37 names. Midday, something unexpected happened. Mrs. Carter called me. They contacted my son, she said shakily. What did they say? They offered to refinance at a better rate if he withdrew complaint. Divide the victims. Classic strategy. He's confused, she said. They made it sound generous. Generous. Always generous. We meet tomorrow, I told her. All of us. Because isolation is their weapon. Unity will be ours. That night, the black SUV returned. But this time, I stepped outside. It drove away slowly. Not fast. Not afraid. Just measuring. Let them measure. Because here's what they don't understand. Older women are underestimated. We survive things they can't imagine. Loss, betrayal, starting over. And now, we're connected. The subpoena request changed everything. Up until now, they were shadows, anonymous emails, black SUVs, corporate language. Now they had names. 5 board members, 5 signatures, 5 people who never thought a woman like me would force them into daylight. And daylight makes predators nervous. The court date was set for preliminary review. 3 weeks. That was enough time for them to act. And they did. It started with Danielle. She called me at 11:47 p.m. Not crying, not hysterical, flat. They froze my access. To what? I asked. Everything. Her investor dashboard. Her advisory accounts. Her partnership equity. They're auditing me, she whispered. That word. Audit. Professional execution. They think I sent it, she added. The ledger. Yes. Did she? Or did someone else want her to take the fall? Did you? I asked gently. Silence. Long. Then. No. I believed her. But belief isn't evidence. And evidence is what wins wars. The next morning, news broke in a small financial column online. A quiet article. Barely visible. Headline. Local advisor under review for improper asset consolidation practices. Her photo. Professional headshot. Smiling. They moved fast. Damage control. Sacrifice 1 to protect 5. I felt anger rise. But beneath it, recognition. This was strategic. If she looks guilty, the board looks unaware. Isolate the operator. Protect the system. Danielle came over that afternoon. She looked smaller. Not physically. Emotionally. They're saying I exceeded client consent boundaries. Did you? I asked. No. Then fight. Her eyes met mine. They'll bury me. They tried to bury me too. Silence. Different silence this time. She wasn't defensive. She was afraid. When did I become a stranger? I asked quietly. Her face broke. I didn't think it would hurt you, she whispered. I thought it was just paperwork. Paperwork. That word again. You reduce life to forms. You forget the people behind them. Mr. Alvarez was calm. Too calm. They're consolidating liability, he said. Meaning, they'll claim Danielle acted independently. And if she didn't, then someone will testify. He looked at her. Not accusing. Just stating reality. You have email chains, he asked her. Yes. Recorded calls? Some. Contracts with board signatures? Yes. Good. Paper leaves fingerprints. Even digital paper. But here's what changed the energy. 2 days later, Mrs. Carter collapsed. Stress-induced arrhythmia. Hospitalized. Stable. But shaken. Her son called me furious. This is because of you. Because of me. I stayed calm. No, I said firmly. It's because of them. He didn't respond. Fear turns people against the closest target. I understood that. But I wouldn't carry guilt that wasn't mine. Still, that night I couldn't sleep. What if exposure harms them more? What if fighting destroys what's left? Maybe I trusted too much. Maybe I pushed too far. Then I remembered the ledger. 37 names. And I knew. Silence would harm more. 3 days before the hearing, the real move happened. Victor was arrested. Fraud inquiry. Asset misrepresentation. Wire manipulation. Public. Very public. News vans outside his office. His face everywhere. Danielle called immediately. They're sacrificing him, she said. Yes. He didn't know everything. I paused. Did he know enough? Silence. Yes. There it was. He wasn't innocent. But he wasn't the architect. He was the shield. If Victor absorbs the scandal, the board survives. Unless someone higher is exposed. That night, another anonymous email arrived. Different tone. Urgent. Subject line. Check page 42. Attached. Internal minutes. Board meeting transcript. And on page 42, a line that stopped my breath. Projected senior asset migration success rate at 78% pending family advisor compliance. Family advisor compliance. That was Danielle. They quantified her loyalty. They tracked her obedience. She wasn't partner. She was asset. Just like us. I showed her. She went pale. They were monitoring me, she whispered. Yes. They never trusted me. No. For the first time. Her anger matched mine. Not defensive. Not confused. Focused. What do we do? She asked. Now she was asking me. Power shifts quietly. We don't react, I said. We execute. The hearing approached. Media attention grew. Online speculation. Comment sections full of opinions. People love scandal. They don't see the quiet pain behind it. Mrs. Carter was discharged. Weak, but determined. I'll testify, she told me. Her son stood beside her. Nervous, but supportive now. Momentum was shifting. Fear had peaked. And now, resolve was rising. The night before court, Danielle handed me a flash drive. I wasn't going to give this to you, she admitted. What is it? Board call recordings. My pulse slowed. Why didn't you give it earlier? Because once this is out, there's no going back. She was right. Exposure is irreversible. I looked at her. Are you ready? She nodded, but her hands trembled. I didn't hug her. I didn't console her. I just said, this ends tomorrow. The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not physically, emotionally. Polished wood, neutral walls, measured voices, but underneath it, fear, not mine, theirs. The board members sat together. Perfect posture, controlled expressions, expensive suits. Danielle sat beside me, still, focused, not the same woman who once said, it's just paperwork. Now she understood. Paper can destroy. The hearing began calmly, too calmly. Procedural statements, compliance language, technical vocabulary. They framed it as misunderstanding, administrative overreach, isolated misjudgment, Victor's fault, convenient, disposable. Then Mr. Alvarez stood. Your Honor, he said evenly, we request permission to submit supplemental digital evidence. A ripple across the board's table. Tiny shifts, micro expressions. Fear rarely shouts. It tightens jaws. The judge allowed it. The flash drive was handed over. And suddenly, the room changed. The first audio clip played. Board member number 3's voice. Calm, confident. We'll accelerate migration before families notice discrepancies. My chest tightened. Second voice. If objections arise, pause. Then, they'll assume clerical error. Seniors rarely challenge documentation. Silence filled the courtroom. Not dramatic. Heavy. Real. Danielle closed her eyes. She hadn't heard that clip before. I watched the board members. One looked down. One stared straight ahead. One clenched his jaw. The illusion cracked. Another clip. Victor's voice. Nervous. What about consent signatures? Board chair replied. We streamline authorization through family advisory channels. Family advisory channels. Danielle. Her face drained of color. They weren't just exploiting clients. They were using her. Strategically. The judge removed his glasses. Slowly. Are these recordings authenticated? Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Alvarez replied. Metadata verified. There it was. No denying it now. Not misunderstanding. Not clerical error. Systematic design. But the final blow wasn't the recordings. It was the envelope. Mr. Alvarez had saved it. Strategically, he approached the bench, handed it over. Exhibit 17. The judge opened it, read silently, then looked directly at the board chair. Is this accurate? The chair swallowed. Yes. The judge addressed the room. This document indicates internal profit projections tied specifically to senior client asset consolidation targets. Projection charts, percentage goals, quarterly targets. They monetized vulnerability. Danielle leaned toward me. I didn't know, she whispered. I know, I replied. And for the first time, I believed she did. The ruling wasn't immediate. Courts don't explode. They tighten. The judge ordered full forensic audit, asset freeze, independent oversight, and personal liability review for each board member. That word landed heavily. Personal, not corporate. Personal. Masks fell. Shoulders stiffened. The board's confidence evaporated. Outside the courthouse, cameras waited. Microphones extended. Questions fired. Did you suspect this from the beginning? Was this about money or revenge? I paused, breathed, and answered softly. It was about dignity. Nothing more. Victor avoided eye contact as he was escorted past. Not hatred. Not regret. Something else. Recognition. He knew. He had chosen comfort over conscience. And now, he was paying. But the biggest moment wasn't public. It happened later. At home, Danielle sat across from me. Quiet. Smaller again. But different. When did I become someone they could manipulate, she asked. When you trusted authority without questioning it, I replied gently. Tears filled her eyes. I thought I was helping families. You were, I said. Until you stopped asking why. She nodded slowly. I'll testify fully, she added. That was her shift. Not fear-driven. Clarity-driven. Power reversal complete. Weeks later, preliminary audit results leaked. 37 confirmed unauthorized accelerations. 12 under active review. Restitution fund initiated. Mrs. Carter's assets reinstated. With interest. She cried when she told me. Relief mixed with exhaustion. But the final truth came unexpectedly. Another envelope. This one from the regulatory office. Inside, a statement. Anonymous whistleblower disclosure credited. Protection granted. Financial award pending. Danielle looked at me. You, she asked. I shook my head. Not me. Who then? The first anonymous email. Check page 42. The recordings. The ledger. Someone inside had helped. But who? And why stay hidden? That night, I stood in my kitchen. Alone. Quiet house. No courtrooms. No headlines. Just reflection. I thought about the street. About seeing him homeless. About anger. About revenge. And I realized something. If I had walked past him, none of this would have surfaced. Pain opened the door, but dignity walked through it. Was I wrong to stay silent all those years? Maybe. Was I wrong to fight now? No. Sometimes silence protects peace. Sometimes it protects corruption. Knowing the difference. That's power. The board members resigned within months. Investigations continued. Victor accepted plea negotiations. Danielle rebuilt her reputation slowly, cautiously, different this time, asking questions, reading every line, listening deeper. But one mystery remains. The whistleblower, the hidden ally, the person who risked everything to expose the system. Because corruption doesn't collapse alone. It fractures from within. And somewhere, someone decided enough was enough. I don't know who it was yet, but I have a feeling. This story isn't over. Because systems like that don't disappear quietly. They evolve. And next time, I'll recognize the signs sooner.